I'm Terrence James, and you're watching another episode of Neutral Reviews, where we do real reviews for real decisions. And today we are looking at the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan R-Line Comfortline. And I have borrowed the keys for this vehicle from Leavens Volkswagen in London, Ontario, who are known as the nice guys for a reason, because they have a welcoming atmosphere, amazing customer service, and most importantly, they offer some of the most practical vehicles on the road today, including this one. And Volkswagen's Liger, or actually Tiguan to be more accurate, their Tiger Iguana mix, came out for the 2009 model year and was so popular they did it all over again for 2017, and they refreshed it for this year. And that's because the Tiguan is one of Volkswagen's top-selling vehicles and is one of the best-selling SUVs in the world. And that's because they got the recipe right. Instead of giving you red brakes, fake vents, and unusable horsepower, they gave you exactly what you do need: a well-engineered vehicle that has upscaled looks. So we take a look at the facts, feels, and final thoughts of the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan to see if it is the top choice for a reason. So let's take a look. The Tiguan is Volkswagen's happy medium choice to get you into that sea of SUV, and it comes in 4 different trims in Canada, starting with the Trendline, which comes in around $33,000, 695 Canadian plus fees and taxes, and for an extra $10,000 you can get all the way up to around $43,695 Canadian plus fees and taxes for that top level Highline. And for something like this in the Comfortline R-Line, you're looking a little bit cheaper at $40,165 Canadian plus fees and taxes, because it's very well equipped. So when we talk about equipment, when we look at that Trendline, it's actually pretty well equipped for a base model. You're still going to get heated seats, and you're still going to get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. However, you have to be careful. It is the older style infotainment and cockpit or gauge screen for the driver. Also, cloth seats. Now, if you get up to that Comfortline, you're going to get a little bit more of those luxury features that you're looking for, including wireless charging and that full digital cockpit and nicer infotainment. And when you get up, as we said, to the Comfortline R-Line here, you get a lot of features pretty much on par with that Highline. Really what you're going to be missing in that Highline is you're going to get the full navigation, 360 camera, fender audio, and a few other little things. But essentially, as far as looks and most of the features go, this Comfortline is very popular and well equipped. So let's talk competition. Now, competition, you're looking mainly at 3 different vehicles. You're going to be looking at your Mazda CX-5, your Honda CR-V, or you're also going to be looking at your Toyota RAV4. Now, all 3 are decent vehicles, and the reason why we've chosen them. Now, that Mazda is actually the benchmark for handling for this vehicle when they were developing it. And it is also a very practical vehicle, but a little less roomy than this. Now, when you look at that Honda CR-V, it's also a very reliable vehicle with excellent resale value, things like that, but it's a little bit more sterile. It's not quite as upscale looking as this. Now, when we look at that RAV4 as a top competitor, it has a lot of reliability behind it. It's excellent on fuel, almost as roomy, and decent looking as well. So now that we've talked about competition, let's talk performance. And Volkswagen uses their staple 2-liter direct-injected turbocharged inline-4, which has 184 horsepower and 221 pound-feet of torque, which is capable of rocketing this 4,000-pound bloated Golf from 0 to 60 in around 9 seconds. Now, it has a 60-liter gas tank, and it is capable of giving around 25 miles per gallon combined, which isn't too bad for the segment. And all that power has to go through a transmission, and it uses their Tiptronic 8-speed torque-converted automatic, which is known for being smooth shifting, and it keeps on going all the way back here through their 4Motion all-wheel drive system by Haldex, which is front-wheel biased and known for being very reliable and efficient. And you have to steer. So what does it use? Is electro-hydraulic steering, which nowadays is good for packaging and adding a lot of those safety features. But it steers on the R-Line these beautiful 19-inch Auckland wheels that are wrapped in these versatile 235/50 all-season tires. And you got to stop. Uses these silver brakes, but they still work pretty good. They are 2 piston in the front and 1 piston caliper in the rear, and around 13-inch in the front and 11-inch vented discs in the rear. And you have to bounce around. You need some suspension, so it uses McPherson strut in the front and multi-link in the rear. And again, it's a system that is very good for packaging, keeping production costs down without sacrificing a lot of that ride quality, which this is known for. Also, we have a chassis that all this has to attach to. So let's talk chassis. It uses Volkswagen's MQB platform that has been around since 2012 and shared with other Volkswagen vehicles, and has been one of the reasons why Volkswagen has been so successful and profitable in recent years. And this modular platform is very configurable. So in this one here, you're looking at 2 plus 3 and even an extra 2 in the back. And that's because it has a 109.9 inch wheelbase, which is very good for the segment. It's also very good at handling at 0.83 on the skid pad and very quiet at 0.73 decibel, or 73 decibels, I should say. And it's a 0.34 drag coefficient, which isn't bad for a brick. Now, I come back here and I see 4 exhaust, fake ones, but they sound like this. Now let's take a look at cargo. And one of the nice things with Volkswagen's power lift gates is you can stop it where you like, and for the next time you can actually save that by holding it onto the button for a few seconds, and you can see it blink over there, and then you know for next time it's only going to go this high, so you don't have to reach up as high for it. So that's very convenient. And when we come over here too, you're looking at probably one of the most space, as we said in this segment, at 38 cubic feet in the back with all the seats down. And you're also looking at it half decent with a third row, since you can get a third row in this, at 12 cubic feet when all the seats are up, if you do have that third row. But one of the things that Volkswagen does really good is their practical features. So you have a 2-stage level floor here, so you can go a little bit lower if you like, or you can keep it nice and flat along with those seats when they're folded down. But it also conceals your privacy canopy over here, which is nice, so you can get it out of the way for have a lot more stackable space, which is really, really convenient. And as you can see, there's all different kinds of tie downs and hooks back here, which really is great for Volkswagen. And they make it quite easy to put these seats down as well with these manual handles back here. And as you can see, you got 60-40 split seats and lots of room back there. So this vehicle also is capable of towing when properly equipped, which is the equivalent to one of these active urban lifestyles hanging off the back of your Tiguan. So now that we've taken a look at the cargo in the back, let's see how the people in the back fare. Now, one of the things that Volkswagen does really well with the Tiguan in this long 109-inch wheelbase is this middle row here. There is tons and tons of room. Now, I'm only 5'7", so granted, keep that in mind. But even with this panoramic sunroof, as you can see, there's a lot of headroom, leg room, and I even have some shoulder room in here with other adults. But not when this middle armrest is down where my cup holders are. But when it's folded up, you do have lots of room there. Seats are a little bit firm, but not uncomfortably firm. It's just German conservative styling. But one of the things that I do like with these seats, aside from being 60-40 split, is they do slide back and forth. So if you do option out for $800, that optional third row, you can get those people a little bit extra leg room. But one of the things that I like as well, on a long day like today, if you don't feel like sitting too upright, you can lean back and relax. So let's take a look up front. When talking features on the 22 Tiguan up front on the Comfortline R-Line, there are plenty, starting with these seats. Very, very firm, however, not uncomfortable. It's just that German styling, as we were saying in the back, but there's lots of adjustability, including lumbar. And really, the only thing that you're missing is the ventilation on this level. And we come to the steering wheel, we have the R-Line steering wheel. It looks like it's lifted right out of the Golf R. I don't know if it is, but it looks the part. And you also have these fancy haptic buttons nowadays on there. It is manually telescopic and adjusting, and if I forgot to mention it, these seats are manual adjusting on this side as well, on the passenger side. Now when we come over here, one of the things that might concern some people is the heating and ventilation nowadays has gone on this level to pure touch, but we can talk about that in the feels portion. But on this level, you are going to get that upgraded infotainment and the digital cockpit. And really, again, the only things that you're missing on this level compared to the Highline is that 360 camera, the Fender audio system, and pure navigation. But it does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. So a lot of those features are baked into those if you use them at all. Now, it does have a manual shifter on that 8-speed, your auto start stop, and parking sensors are over here, as well as your start button. And you have your electronic parking brake. You do have your dial here for your different modes. But when we're talking about practicality, which is important for the Tiguan, in the back, but also up front, you have these door pockets where you can also fit tons and tons of stuff that are felt lined, and you have more convenient space here in the middle, which also happens to make a good armrest and matches up well over there when you're cruising along. And as you can see in here, you have lots and lots of space in that glove compartment. So now that we've gone through the facts, let's take this for a drive and see how they feel. Okay, and here's where we do our reverse test just to see how much of a nightmare this thing is to back up. And as you can see, the Tiguan has the dynamic backup lines on this edition, on the Comfort line and lower. However, if you do get that high line, you would get that full 360 camera. And if you look at our Atlas video, you can see just how well that works. That was terrible, but that was my fault. Backed up pretty good. Okay, and here's where we do our quick turnaround test like we left one of the kids back at daycare. Let's just see how much of a nightmare it is to do one of those. Now, it's on the MQB chassis, which is the same as the Golf, so it shouldn't be too bad. And we're a little off the curb there, but this is a skinny road, and that wasn't too bad. All right, here's where we do our traffic light Grand Prix acceleration test, and this time like we want to get away from daycare in a hurry. So, we've got it in sport mode, left, right on the brake, and away we go. Woo! That's wildly slow in the beginning, but it starts to pick up and it feels okay after a while. I think you got plenty of speed to get away from that daycare. Okay, and here's where we do our emergency style brake test, and we hope all the kid stuff doesn't end up with us up here. So here we go, basically the same thing in reverse. Giving it lots of gusto. And hard on the brakes. ABS came on the end, but that was nice and smooth and controlled. All right, and here's where we do our highway test. So we did kind of a traffic light acceleration, but here we want to do more of a highway. How does it actually feel on the highway? Well, we just pulled over to the side there, and we're getting on. We're well up to highway speed here, and now we're cruising along. There is some noise, a little bit of wind noise, things like that, but generally speaking, this is a very nice place to be. As you can see in the back, there is tons and tons of greenhouse space. Volkswagens and Volvos both are famous for having really high belt lines, so you feel nice and safe. And not only do you feel safe, they actually are safe. There's a lot of construction in both those vehicles, especially this one, as far as safety features go and everything else like that. But realistically, as we said, you got lots and lots of space back there and up front here as well. So as you can see with that panoramic sunroof, you've got all kinds of space, all kinds of light that comes in here. And it is a nice place to be. With this MQB chassis or platform based on the Golf, you know, it's not a Golf at all, in the sense of it does feel a little floaty compared to my GTI, even in sport mode on this. But it does handle really well. It steers nice, even though it's electric steering, it's a little numb like my GTI. It's firm, it's got a nice weight to it. Really the only thing that I do notice that's a lot different than my GTI is obviously I'm sitting a little bit higher, but like I said, you really do feel that body roll. It's very floaty. It's hard to explain because the steering wheel is very tight. These seats are firm, and the suspension feels firm in a way, but that body movement, you really do feel it in here. Now, as we said, this being the 2022 and styling, they have changed the front and rear to make it a little bit modern, more modern, like that new GTI and the new Golf R. I really like it. This beautiful steering wheel, which we already showed in here. And when we get the Comfort R-Line like we have here in the High Line and the normal Comfort line, but especially these ones, you do get the upgraded cockpit, digital cockpit, as you can see, which is really, really nice and in line with Audi, just missing a little bit of the customization, but it looks really, really good. It's very responsive and sharp. And the same with this infotainment. As we said, in this version here, you're going to get the upgraded one. That base model still has that old, smaller infotainment. But here you got the bigger cockpit and you got the bigger digital entertainment, and it works well. In this one, you don't have that 360 camera. You got to get the High Line, and as well, you don't have full navigation, but you do have wireless and wired Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So really, most of the things that you're ever going to need to do are on there. But as we said, it is pretty responsive. Most of the things, you know, you're only going to use this for navigation for most people. So unless you have your phone plugged in, you're not going to use a lot of this stuff. But Volkswagen does have a very intuitive, responsive, and nice infotainment. Now this one here, just to finish off, what we're going to say is we never really test too much the radio because we're not really into that type of thing. Savage Geese, we always mention in every episode. They do a really good job. If you're interested in that, check them out to see if they've done a review on a Tiguan and on the radios, because on the High Line you do get that 8-speaker Fender premium audio system, and if it's anything like in other Volkswagen products, it will sound pretty good. Even this one here with your bass sound system, for most things, it's going to sound just fine, which leads me to my final thoughts. Now, if you like this video, hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notifications, and check out one of our other related SUV reviews. It happens to be on a Volkswagen Atlas, so we get more cool cars like this one in our upcoming review on a Ford Focus RS. Now, we started off this review by looking to see if the 2022 Volkswagen Tiguan was a top-selling choice for a reason. And here are the facts and feels that we used to come up with this final thought. Which is, if you were forced into the mid-size sea of SUV, just make the sensible choice and go with the well-engineered vehicle with upscale looks. Don't be fooled with unusable horsepower, red brakes, and fake fence. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next time.